What's up, YouTubers? Welcome back. It's time for another Joytoy review. This time we're going to take a look at the North Maintenance Mech. And if you look at the front of the box, you can see that this actually comes in the 1/18 scale. There's a great picture of the actual mech on the front of the box here. A nice drawing. If I turn it to the side, you can see some of the exploded view and some of the accessories and instructions needed to put the mech together. Down at the bottom it says movable joints and fully hand painted. And if we flip it around to the other side, you can see some more instructions over here. Replacement hand assembly drawings. And at the top you can see these articulated arms, some of the panels on the back, and again, North 1/18 scale, and this is part of the Battle for the Stars chapter of the Joytoy collection. If we flip it around to the back, you can see a nice clear picture of the actual pilot and all her accessories. Over here, the pilot is actually inside the mech. And on the bottom of the box, there's the product information. We flip it back around to the front. I want to show you that there is a flap on this box, and you got to stick your finger back here and unattach the two Velcro dots. And I apologize for the glare, but inside the bubble here you can see the actual mech. And on this side of the flap there's a nice drawing of the mech and pilot. And way in the back there, I'm not sure if you can see, is the actual pilot jammed in the back of the box. So this is a great way to look at this figure on your shelf if you're a mint box collector, but we're going to open it up and check it out. And just like in all my videos, I like to take everything out of the box and lay it on the table and take an inventory of what it comes with. And of course it comes with the big yellow mech right here. Of course all the accessories laid out. And it comes with a drill, a claw, a gun. This piece right here is for the back of the attachments on the hands, and we'll get into that shortly. It has all the articulated arm pieces with the two claw ends. The pilot itself. It comes with a jaws of life, a drill, a belt, and a couple of hands. And now that everything's laid out in front of us, this would be a good time to go over each and every one of these accessories. We'll start with the articulated claw hand attachment. This is absolutely beautiful, and all these points on the claw actually move. So you can open and close it and pick things up. This is in a gunmetal gray with some yellow highlights. Really nice detail on this. And on the back here's the post to fit into the hand slot once we remove the hands. Next, we'll take a look at the drill. This is amazing looking. It's articulated, so it does spin freely. You can see this is in the gunmetal gray. And again, there's the post to go on the mech when you remove one of the hands. Next, we'll take a look at the actual piece right here. And according to the box, this goes on the back of one of the two hand attachments. And it rides on the post here. And it attaches to the mech itself. We'll get into that later. Alright, next I'll grab the gun. Now this is the mech's gun, obviously. It's a nice dark gray. Got some silver highlights on the actual bottom of the gun right there. Ammunition container, I guess. A couple of details along the stock. And fantastic detail on this side. Right here is all the pieces for the two external highly articulated claws that fit on the mech. And if I slide the box in, you can see right here in the upper picture that once assembled, they actually port on the back of the mech into a couple of holes. And in order to do that, there's two of these. Again, these are both identical, and you can see this pivot point right here. We'll take the next piece and we'll port that into this peg. So now we have another hinge piece. Goes up and down. Of course, these are all friction fit. We'll finally grab the claw, do the same thing, and now we have three pivot points. And if we look at the end of the actual claw itself, this is just a peg. We'll pull this out, and again, friction fit, goes into the hole, and it rotates back and forth. Now the claw itself is a little articulated. This only goes up and down. It doesn't actually open and close at all. These have some really nice details with the cautionary tape, and of course, like I said, there's two of those, so let's get this one out of the way. And what we'll do now is we'll actually look at the figure's accessories. We'll grab the Jaws of Life right here, or Key to the City if you will. This has a nice red color to it. Dark gray, or almost a smoky black plastic on the jaws and the handle. You can see the handle on top. Really great detail on both sides of this thing. See this thing actually opening up anything it puts its hands on or claws on. Next, we'll look at her cordless drill. Got a fantastic gray drill bit on the end, 2 handles, and this is also in that red with a slight black wash to it. Next, we'll look at her belt. Now, I chose not to put this on the figure just yet, but it's relatively easy. You can see some red shells right there and some additional pouches on the side, and her leg would actually slip up through that. And just like any belt, it's got a loop. Let me flip it around so you can see, and you put the tab in the loop, and I would suggest you heat that up a little bit to make it more pliable. And lastly, she comes with an extra set of hands. Get these in close. These are pretty tiny, and I apologize for my big fingers. These have some really nice detail on them. This one's like a gripping type hand, and this one's more of a open, relaxed type hand. Next, we'll go over the sculpt and paint of both figure and mech. We'll start with the figure, of course, and as you can see, she's wearing a yellow baseball cap. She's wearing some dark sunglasses or safety glasses. Got a plain look on her face, and this hat is not removable. She has a white scarf or kerchief around her neck. She's wearing a gray tank top. And if I flip her arms around, you can see that on her left wrist there's a technical type of device, and on her right wrist, that's just wrapped. Down around her waist, she has her tied up long sleeve shirt, and that is removable. Coming down to her legs, she got some nice yellow baggy work pants with a little bit of black wash and dark gray work boots. Looking at the back side, you can see all the fantastic detail back here. Going down her right thigh, she actually has a pouch. And back around the front. Now this figure is a combination of a couple of the female figures from the earlier released maintenance teams. Next, we'll look at the mech. I'll slide it in a little bit closer. And let me tip it up. And you can actually see the yellow cautionary tape along the top of the cockpit right there. It's got a red eyeball in the center and a couple of articulated missile pods right there. Those go up and down. Now looking at the front of the mech, you can see the smoke colored tinted windshield. That looks great. And the yellow cod piece or waist piece. It's got a 3 on both of its shoulders. Nice fantastic down the legs. Some cautionary stamps. Some highlights on the actual feet. We turn it to the side. You can see the same color yellow carries down, and on the forearm there's some type of belt fed system right there. Fantastic detail on the hands. Flipping around the back, I'll tip it up a little bit, and you can see all the great detail up here. And of course, these are the ports that those articulated arms go in, and we'll show you that afterwards. And coming down the back side, they carried all the detail underneath with a couple of labels under there. Same thing on this side. Now on this particular forearm, there's a different type of gear system. And back around to the front. And I'll show you how this cockpit opens. If I can get my fingers in there, that folds down and this folds up. Here's a nice look at the seat back. Nice padded seat back there. And right here's a set of joysticks that is articulated for the pilot to hold on to and to steer this mech. Now, one thing of note, when you go to close up the cockpit, you got to make sure that the top comes down and the bottom actually comes up over the windshield like this. Alright, let's go over the articulation portion of the video, and we'll go over the mech first, and I also want to show you all the additional add-on pieces. But we'll start with the top, and as I said earlier, this goes up and down. These missile pods go up and down. This eyeball actually rotates around if you wanted to. Now we'll come down to the shoulders, and these rotate all the way around. Now each shoulder has a door or a panel right here, and as you can see, I have to flip it up because my fingers are too big. And what this does is this actually allows you to get the arms to go all the way up. Really nice high pose on both arms. This comes back down, and right here's a pivot point. And right down at the elbow, that rotates. And as you just saw, if I hold on to the actual elbow ratchet joint, the lower arm rotates. And I really like how the elbow here, this ratchet joint is nice and tight, and we'll get it to bend all the way up, and it's really strong, so it'll hold anything you put in its hands, as you can see. Now we'll come down to the actual hands itself. We'll start with the wrists. Now these wrists are actually on a ball joint, so there's really great range of motion on these things. They go all the way around, 360 degrees, up and down. And if we look at all the fingers, these are all independently articulated. We'll get these all opened up for you. And they actually splay apart. Let me turn the hand so you can get a better look at that. So these open up really wide. So you get a nice tight grip, a big firm grip on anything it's reaching out for. So on the arms, there's plenty of articulation points to get this thing into some really great poses. Now we'll come down to the legs, and I want to show you that these legs actually are on a peg, and these are friction fit, so they just port into that hole right there. Now these go up and down. Right here at the actual hip is a ratchet, goes up and down. If I turn it to the side here, I want to show you that this front leg armor actually is removable. You can see the two holes and the two pegs. That just ports back on here if I can do it. There we go. And back here, this rotates. And you can see that armor's not in the way. Looking at the back of the knees, you can see the actual pivot point right here, which is ratcheted. Nice tight bend. Fantastic bend in these knees. And nice tight grip. Coming down to the feet, these go up and down. And of course they rotate around. And I wanted to show you that this leg actually comes out too. Same system, friction fit. And if you come down to the actual toes, these pivot up and down. Now there is one more piece of articulation on the actual back of the figure, or the mech. These go up and down. Now I'm not sure if these are some type of air vents or wings or what they are, but they do articulate. Now this looks like it would move, but it actually doesn't. Let me see if I can't get him to stand up on his own. And we're going to go ahead and try to attach those external claws that we put together. These two. You can see those two pins right there, porting those holes. And again, these are friction fit, so you line them up and give them a wiggle. They bend up and down and over his shoulder like this. And of course, being friction fit, they do articulate back and forth. So really great range of motion on those. Get these out of the way and I'll put the second one in. So you repeat the same process, you just wiggle it back and forth. Again, it's friction fit. You flip this down so you can get a really good look at these things. Really fantastic to have these extra arms up over the shoulders of this mech. Let's go ahead and try those other hand attachments. So here's the claw and the drill bit. And what I want to do is actually slide the box back in and show you that that extra piece right here in the upper picture goes with the claw, not the drill. And it goes on in this fashion. I just wanted to point that out for you. All you have to do is grab one of the hands by the wrist, give it a good tug, everything pops off, and you would take this piece, and you can see the two notches right there, and those line up in those two holes. See if I can't do this on camera. Pivot this way, you just line those up. Again, everything is friction fit. You would take that port, put it in the hole, make sure it's seated in all the way. And now you have an articulated claw hand that goes around, and of course all these fingers or these jaws open up. Great for picking up items or anything else. Let's go around to this side and we'll remove his hand in the same fashion. You just give it a tug. Now you grab the drill bit. You can see the same thing. There's the post. You just line it up into the hole and make sure it's seated all the way. And this thing is still articulated, so this actually spins. So with all these attachments, you can change the actual look of the entire mech. Now each one of these hands can be flip-flopped because all it is a peg and hole system. The let's go over the articulation of the mech pilot next. And with most Joytoy figures, fantastic articulation on these things with the head going left and right. This is on a ball joint, so it goes all the way around if you needed to. She can look up about this far and tuck her chin in about this far. Now if we come down to her shoulders, these will only go up about this far, and that's due to the molding, the way the joints actually stop. So the T-pose only goes that high. Of course, these rotate 360 degrees. Now you can twist them around and get her hands to go all the way up to the sky if you need to. You just got to manipulate the shoulder joint. We'll come down to the actual elbows themselves. These bend really nice, beyond 90 degrees. These rotate around. We come down to her actual wrists. These rotate around. And this is on a hinge joint, so this actually goes in this direction. Up and down. And the same thing for this wrist. This actually goes in and out. So the hinge joints are a little different. That's of course to better hold on to her guns and equipment or whatever else you put in her hands. We'll come down to the midsection. There's a cut there that rotates around, so that's on a ball joint. She can crouch over about this far, get her arms out of the way for you so you can see what's going on. So she can look down really well, and she can lean back really well. Next, we'll come down to the waist, and this shirt is removable, and it does seem to ride up and down while we're trying to do our articulation. So I think what I'm going to do is pull the figure apart right here and just pop this off and get it out of the way. So we can look at the waist articulation. Get this off camera. Now her waist can pivot back and forth. So really nice range of motion here too. We'll come down to her hips. She can do the splits only about this far, and that's due to the baggy yellow work pants she's wearing. Of course, there's a thigh cut. This rotates back and forth. And you know what's coming. She can Spartan kick forward this far.
This is Sparta!
And just like all the other Joytoy figures, she's got double jointed knees, so they bend really well. Now, looking at her boots, you would think that there was a boot cut, but there is not. All the articulation is down here at the ankle, so this rotates back and forth on a rocker. She can point her shoe up this far, and point her toe down this far. And as you can see, there is toe articulation, so this bends up. You can see she comes with some really fantastic articulation. Now, I do want to point out, she does feel a little dainty in the arms. I mean, she is durable and all, but you definitely want to heat this figure up before you start moving her around. And seeing that Joytoy is not offering any replacement parts, you don't want to snap anything. So after you heat her up, just take your time and you should be fine. I want to go ahead and just show you that the mech can actually hold his pistol in his hand, but these fingers are a little wide, so they can't get into the trigger, but he is holding it. Now, I also put the pilot inside the mech, and I want to show you what that looks like. She fits in there perfectly. Let me put her head up so she can stare at the camera. I got her hands on the actual steering joysticks, and I removed the t-shirt or long sleeve shirt to get her in there. She is holding on to those joysticks really tight, and she's not going to fall out. And if you ask me, she looks great inside there. We'll wrap up this video by doing some comparisons, and I wanted to bring in some of the other mechs in my collection. Of course, here on the left is the blue Freeman mech with the blue pilot, and of course this is the same exact mech as the tan Freeman. Over here is the large Fear mech, and I just want to show you the scale with this North mech between these two. So it's really nice to get a different size mech to add to the collection. So, can I recommend this mech to you? Absolutely. If you have the means, go ahead and hunt it down and add it to your 1/18 scale Joytoy collection. Just be careful with that female pilot and make sure you heat her up before you move her around. I really love the articulated claw and drill bit, as well as its hands. And it'll help your maintenance team get those Fear mechs back on the battleground. I really want to thank you for taking the time and watching my videos, and of course, if you like what you see, join the community. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for future notification of upcoming videos. And don't forget to help a fellow collector out and share your knowledge.